Hi Dave, predictions for this year. I'm really going to throw it out there. I think Man City might win the league. As for Wolves, the squad doesn't change from where we are. I think we're looking at 16th, something like that. If we do manage to invest in the squad with the Neto money and maybe get the players to play a back four and be more attacking, I think we could finish between 12th and 9th. So it all depends on what happens at the end of the season. In terms of relegation, I can't see past those teams that came up, plus potentially Bournemouth, who I think might find this season a struggle, and Chelsea to win the FA Cup.
Hi everyone, predictions for this season. I think Wolves will finish 11th. I think we'll score more goals this year. Now we've added Larson to the group, but I think we'll concede a few more as well, changing to the back four. So I think we'll make a slight improvement, but we're not quite ready for Europe just yet. I think Arsenal will win the Premier League. I think they've been closing the gap on Man City year on year, and I think this might be the year where they just pip them, but it will be very, very close. I think Man City will win the FA Cup. I think Guardiola will want to finish with some silverware. And the three that go down, I think, will be the three that have come up: Leicester, Southampton and Ipswich. I think that gap between the Premier League and the Championship is getting bigger and bigger season on season, and I do think those three will find it a real challenge.
Dazzling Dave, I'm here in Spain. I'm giving you my predictions. I think Wolves, I reckon it's going to be a top 8 finish. You can laugh at me. I think they've had such a good pre-season. Here's my mate Scott from the Mount. He gives me all the inside information. I reckon it's going to be a top 8 finish for Wolves. I think it's so positive that Gary O'Neill's had a full pre-season. Champions League. Do you think Champions League, Scott? Scott knows stuff. He's got them all down the Mount. They go to the Mount. He knows. I do reckon Man City are going to win the league. Boring, but they're going to win the league. An FA Cup, do you know what? Wolves got a chance because you and Magic Moss need to be singing Abide With Me at Wembley. But the reality is, we're not going to, Dave. So I think Newcastle. Anyway, 8th position. Scott, you agree?
I'll take 8th.
He'll take 8th. Always Wolves.
Hope you're all well. Hope you're enjoying the sun. Today I'm going to give my predictions for Wolves and the FA Cup winners. And the Premier League winners. So I'm going to be giving Wolves a 7th or 8th place finish, pushing on from last season with Gary O'Neill having first ever pre-season. And then I'm going to give the Premier League winners to Man City. I think Man City can just do it on the final day. And for the FA Cup winners, I'm going to give it to Arsenal. I think Arsenal have to prove that they can win some silverware, and I think they'll push on to that. And I think Wolves will make it into the semi-finals of the FA Cup and just lose. Always Wolves.
Hi Dave, just giving my thoughts on Wolves for this upcoming season. I do feel we'll be fighting for the European places. However, I do think we'll finish around about 8th or 9th this season. I do feel we might have a good cup run in us, but I don't see us getting any silverware this season. I think Villa is going to get the League Cup, as much as it pains me to say, and I reckon Man City will dominate the rest. I reckon they'll win the Premier League again, and I reckon they'll get the FA Cup too. I do feel Ipswich will go straight back down this season. And I think they'll be joined by Forest and Brentford. Those are my picks to go down. As for Wolves again, I do feel like we'll have some highs, we'll have some lows. I think Rodrigo Gomez will shine this season, and we'll see how much of an impact he'll make in the Premier League. I reckon 8th or 9th is a good position for us this season, and some off chance that we do produce better, I'm hoping we can nick a European spot, but I can't see it happening.
Hello Dave, hello everybody, Lucy here. Just with my predictions for the future of Wolves for this season. I think we'll do pretty well. I think we're going to finish 8th, 9th. That's my opinion, don't shout at me. I'm pretty impressed with the way Gary's handled the situation. I think the lads have really bonded, and that's lovely to see. It's definitely reminded me of the Nuno days, which obviously you get excited about. The ones to go down, the teams to go down, I think it's going to be Bournemouth, Ipswich and Leicester. Can we have Cody back, please? Bye, everybody.
Hello, Dave. Yeah, early predictions then for this season. I think hopefully we'll finish about 12th. I think we might have a good couple of cup runs, maybe quarterfinals, hopefully one semi-final. That would be great. Still need to sign a few more players before the end of August. Team to win the league? Not sure. Could be Chelsea, actually. It's only a lot of players, but it's gelling them together. Relegation? I think Ipswich. Going to be a battle for them. Brentford? I think Brentford's bubbles bursting slowly. And a very big surprise, I think, for everybody. I think Brighton are on a downward spiral.
All right, Dave, just going to give some Premier League predictions for this season. I'm saying Wolves are going to finish probably mid-table. I'm going to go about 11th. I don't think we'll quite sneak into the top half, but I'll be happy with that personally. Winning the league, I think it's got to be City. They'll go 5 in a row. I don't think Arsenal will put up much of a challenge this season. Cup winners, I'm going to go Liverpool. I think Slot's going to win a trophy in his first season there. And going down, I think that 3 newly promoted clubs, so Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton, probably in that order with Leicester's points deduction. So yeah, cheers mate.
Hi Dave, these are my predictions for this season. Last season, the 3 promoted clubs all got relegated, and I can see the same happening again, so I'm going with Ipswich, Southampton and Leicester. I'd like to be optimistic about our performance and say 10th, but it does depend on spending our money wisely, and it does depend on having a full squad, and this was the problem at the end of last season. We need a full squad.
Good evening people. My predictions for this year are as follows. I believe if we get the right clientele in place, i.e. new full-backs and another new centre-back, we could finish 8th. If not, I think we'll be 15th, 16th, as I don't think we've got the right people in our squad to play a back 4, and that worries me. I think Arsenal win the league and cup double, and I believe that Leicester, Brentford and Southampton will get relegated. Have a great evening everyone.
You're right, Dave, mate. Hope you're okay. I'm here to do my Premier League predictions, all the important stuff, you know. And as for Wolves, I think it really depends how we do in the transfer window. I think we were very flat yesterday, but a couple of players impressed me. So I think with a couple of additions, we can look towards a high mid-table finish. Maybe I think Europe might be a bit of a stretch this season, but obviously you never know what happens. So if I was to say a position, I think it's very difficult. I think it'll be very close in mid-table this year, but I'd say it 11th or 12th, hopefully obviously 11th, and then anything above would be a very good season. As for who I think is going to win the league, I could be really, really boring and say Man City, but something's telling me that it's Arsenal's year. I think they're going to have the attitude that it's either going to be this year or they won't win it for a while. I think they've done some really good moves in the transfer window, getting that Moreno, Spanish player who was in the Euro squad. So yeah, I do think Arsenal are within a good shout, and I feel like they might get it over the line this year. So if I was to say who's going to win the title, I would say Arsenal. But I do think City will get more silverware, and I think they will win the FA Cup. And as for who I think is going down, I think the gap between Premier League football and Championship level is just got so big. I do think the 3 teams that came up will go straight back down. And the team I'd probably say has a fighting chance is Ipswich. I think I really like their manager. They've done some really, really good moves in the transfer window. So I feel like they might be in with a chance, but I just don't see any other teams that they're going to be able to outperform and have a better season overall than. So I do think the 3 teams will go straight back down.
Hi, I'm Daz Hale from BBC Radio WM. So a 7th successive season in the top flight for Wolves. That's certainly never happened before in my lifetime. And I'm reasonably optimistic now after a difficult start to the summer with all the season ticket stuff. Obviously, with 3 weeks to go to the window closes, a lot could still happen. A lot depends now on how they reinvest the Pedro Neto money. But I think it'll be another solid campaign. I could see us finishing in the top 10. And I'm calling it now. This time we are going to get to Wembley. This is the year for the FA Cup. Quote me on that if I'm right. Who's going to win the Premier League? Well, they should get deducted a load of points, but they probably won't. So I'm guessing it'll be Manchester City again. As regards who goes down, it's difficult again to look beyond the 3 promoted teams, especially if Leicester do get this points deduction that everyone's thinking about. Also, I think Bournemouth, now they've sold Solanke, could have a difficult season. And it'd be interesting to see how Brighton fare as well now, won't it, now that they've lost their manager. So there we go. It's onwards and upwards. Enjoy the season. Of course, you can follow it all as well on BBC Radio WM. Up the Wolves.
So my predictions for the Premier League this year. So firstly with Wolves, I think we'll have a very steady season. I think the standard's going to be much higher throughout the league this year. So I think Europe might be too much of an ask. I don't think we'll be anywhere near the bottom. So I think it'll just be a kind of a steady season. In terms of who's going to win it, I think it's going to be Man City again. FA Cup, I think Arsenal. And in terms of who's going down, Ipswich, I think, will go. Southampton, and if Brentford lose Ivan Toney, I think they could go as well. Cheers, Dave.
I hope you're all doing good. This is Hoops here, and this is my predictions for the upcoming season. At time of recording, caveat here, we're just in the midst of the transfer window, so it could change for Wolves, because I still think we're a few players short in perhaps getting a top 10 finish. So as things stand, I would say a 12th position for Wolves this season. Looking elsewhere in the league, in terms of perhaps the title, I think it's going to go down to Arsenal and Man City again, and I'm going to say Arsenal are going to finally do it. In terms of relegation places, it's difficult to look past those that have come up. I think we're going to see this cycle for a while. There might be a few anomalies on the way, but for me, Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton to go down. And for the FA Cup, hopefully it's our year. If not, I'm going to probably go with Chelsea. Speak soon.
My prediction for the Premier League season for 2024. We're going to say Wolves this year, good manager, new contract for him, and we'll end up with a place of somewhere around about pushing 8 and give everybody else a good run for the money. So, winners, there's a funny one, isn't it? You'd say City. Will you end up with an Arsenal and Liverpool race to the finish? Yeah, and you've got Newcastle. I think I'll go for probably Arsenal. FA Cup, probably City. That's it. That's my view. If you either agree or disagree, but it's always Wolves.
Hi there, how you doing? So, Wolves this season, I think, a lot of changes again. New system, new formation. It's going to take a bit of time. Really, really tough start. I'm going for 11th, which I think it's about where our club is at the moment. The league, I'll go for Arsenal. Got a feeling that they'll finally do it this season. Man City always win something, so I'll go for the FA Cup for them. And going down, Ipswich, people fancy them. I think they'll struggle. Southampton too. Leicester may stay up, so I'm going to go for Brentford as the third club, especially if they lose Ivan Toney. That's my predictions for this season.
So the season kicks off next weekend, and I'm predicting a very similar season for Wolves as to the one that's just gone. I can see us being in and around mid-table, perhaps having moments of excitement, pushing up into that top half. I think we'll have some games where again we'll go and beat the likes of Tottenham, maybe even a Man City, but then thrown in with that, I think there'll be a few disappointments along the way. In the Premier League, again, I can't see anybody beating Man City unless there's some points deductions thrown in for City along the way with all their financial regulations, turbulations that they're going through. Relegation, I think it could well be the 3 promoted clubs, but I'm going to throw in Ipswich, Leicester and Everton for relegation, with Chelsea, our good friend Pedro Neto, going there and perhaps winning the FA Cup for them.
Hey Wolves fans, I think we're going to have a great season this season. Call me the eternal optimist, but I reckon we're going to get about 10th or 11th place, which I think would be a brilliant season considering the business. 90 million for Kilman and Neto. Whew, chef's kiss. Lima, Gomez, Strand Larson all seem like great young signings who will bed into the team. FA Cup. Well, if we don't win it, then I reckon a team like Brighton have got a really good chance, outside chance. And the champions, I can't see any further than Man City. Arsenal might push them again. Chelsea, Liverpool, they won't because they're in transition. So, yeah, they're my picks for this season. Up the Wolves.
Well, I think we'll finish top 10, probably 10th. Don't think we'll win the Prem, as I said, but I think we might do well in the FA Cup, like semi-finals.
Hi everyone, Lewis here, and I've got my predictions for the 24-25 season. So for Wolves' finish, I'm really optimistic, and I've gone 8th. I think we could really push for those European spaces this season. I think we might just come up short, but generally I am quite confident about the league this season. I think our squad is in a much better place than it was in terms of depth than last year. And I think that was our main limitation, so I am quite confident about that. For the League Cup, I've said that we should, I've predicted Wolves to win this. I think this would be great competition for us to win. It would qualify us for the Europa Conference League in early March, and it would take some of the pressure off the league. And I think it would be a great competition for us to win and to add some silverware to our trophy cabinet. For the FA Cup, I've gone Liverpool. Premier League winners, I've gone Arsenal. And for the teams I predict to be relegated are Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester.
Afternoon Dazzlers, afternoon Dave. You've asked for my predictions for the Premier League, the FA Cup and where Wolves will finish this season. I think Premier League will be won by Arsenal. I think the FA Cup will be won by Man United, unfortunately. And as for us in the Premier League, after the Leipzig game, I was really hopeful. But Saturday's performance was incredibly poor. No cohesion whatsoever. And I think that Gon recognised that in his after-match analysis. So I've got us for 14th if we replicate for most of the season what we did Saturday. Hope everybody's had a great summer. See you soon.
I think we're going to have a better season than last season. I'm not expecting all that much so I'm going to say a 10th place finish for the Wolves. Premier League, I'm going to go with Man City. I think Arsenal will take the FA Cup as a little consolation for not winning the league and bottling that again. And my relegation 3, I'm going to say the 3 that have just come back up. I think they'll go straight back down again.
Hi Dave, hi Wolves fans, this is Paul from Nassau, Bahamas. My predictions for the upcoming season. I think Arsenal will win the Premier League this time finally. I think they'll go on better this season. Carabao Cup winners, I will say Manchester United. FA Cup winners, I think we're going to go 2 stages further this season. The mighty Wolves to win the FA Cup. Teams to go down, Leicester City, I think they're going to go. Southampton, I think they will go too. And also Bournemouth, I think they may struggle this season without Solanke. So those are my 3 to go down. Where will Wolves finish? I think we definitely can finish top 8 if we have a fairly injury-free season. Love the way Gary's moulding the team. And I think we're going to have a really good season, so I'm excited about that. So Wolves to finish in the top 8. Always Wolves.
Premier League predictions this season. First, I'll start with Wolves. I'm going to go for 12th. Reason being, I think we need to first see how these Pedro Neto funds are reinvested. We need to see how well the transition to the 4 at the back goes. I think the money from Neto is going to go into younger players, so we need to give them time to settle. And I think 12th would actually represent quite a good season, a stable season, and I think Gary's more than capable of pulling that off. So I'm going to go for a steady 12th. FA Cup winner, I'm going to go for Liverpool. I think Slot will win something in his first season at Liverpool, endear himself to the fans. Relegation, I'm going to go for Forest, Southampton and Ipswich. I think Leicester will stay up. And finally, Premier League winner, I'm going to stick my neck out, I'm going to say Arsenal.
So my prediction for the season, I think we'll finish 10th. I think we'll do enough to stay out of the relegation mix, but I don't think we've got quite enough to break into the top 10 or top 8, challenging for those European places. I think Man City will win the league. Can't see anybody getting past them at the moment. Hopefully we can have a good cup run, but I think again you're looking inside the top 4 for one of the FA Cup winners. Teams going down, it's difficult to see past the 3 teams coming up. I think they're always going to be in the mix, especially if Leicester end up with a points deduction. But I also think someone like Forest, Brentford, possibly Fulham might get dragged into it. There's quite a few teams in that group that could end up in trouble, so hopefully we do enough to stay clear.
Hey everyone, just a quick prediction from me. I'm thinking we'll end up with a stronger squad come the end of the window, so I'm going to go for a slightly improved position of 10th. This all depends on injuries, VAR, how we do with the back 4, lots of variables at the moment, so it is hard to say. My tips for winning the Premier League is Man City. I think it's either between Arsenal and City, and gut tells me Arsenal will bottle it. Relegation, the teams that got promoted. That's my bet for this season. All right.
Hi Dave, quick predictions for the Premier League this season. For Wolves, top 10, pushing for Europe, given our better strength of depth of squad this season isn't beyond them. League, unfortunately, will probably go to Man City again. FA Cup, I think Arsenal have got a good shot this year. And those going down, Ipswich and Leicester, and I think Everton, given how much of the financial mire they're in this season. All the best.
Hope you're well. I'm going to go Wolves to finish 8th. Realistically, I think it could be around about 10th, but I'm hopeful. I'm going to go Arsenal to win the FA Cup, City to win the league, because I think it might be Pep's last year. And then to go down, I think Bournemouth, Southampton and Ipswich. Come on the Wolves, let's have a great season. Let's try and go for Europe, come on, and get the FA Cup as well. That'd be nice.
Wolves this season, it's a tough one. I think we'll probably finish top 10. It's the best I can give. If we hold on to a few more players, obviously I don't know who's coming this week before the season starts, but top 10, it's all I can give. Love to push on, finish a bit better, but I still don't think we've got the depth. To go down, Southampton, Ipswich, maybe Everton this year. Like, they've been clinging on, you know, maybe it's time for them to drop. And winners, City, still City. I think they'll give it one more go, become immortals, and, you know, then I think it'll be someone else's turn, but I think they've got one more in them. An FA Cup, yeah, same, City. I think they're just going to have another dominant year, and I think it might be their last. I think they were struggling a little bit, but I think it'll be their last dominant season that they've got, and then open space for someone else. Who knows? Maybe even Wolves.
Hey Dave, David New York Wolves. Quick predictions for the new season. I think we will finish out the transfer window with some more really exciting additions like we started out, and we will finish top half, maybe even a run at Europe if things go our way, VAR not being the least of those. Title, you got to say Man City, right? It's boring, but maybe if Pep announces he's leaving this season, they'll slack a bit, and Arsenal might nip in, maybe Liverpool. FA Cup, I don't know, Man United. I know that's ridiculous, but they seem to pull it out for that competition. Going down, the 3 promoted teams, of which I'm embarrassed to admit I only remember 2, Ipswich and Southampton. It seems to be that the 3 promoted teams are always the favourites to go down. Outside of that, somebody like a Bournemouth, a Forest, Everton, but there always seems to be one that you never thought of that ends up flirting with relegation, so I don't know who that might be, but that would be what I expect for the season. Really excited, looking forward to seeing what O'Neill does after a full pre-season. Up the Wolves!